Come on.
I hope I don't lose my voice. Thank you all so much. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the kind words you all have spoken. And so many people have been listening. What the hell I'll do? I want to thank, first of all, my wife, Joy, who has been with me for this entire 36 months.
Oh. Yeah.
About the same time I was sending out those resumes, one of the ones which went to Gary Spencer, and I wanted to be a prosecutor. I drew a circle on a map of 100 square miles from Chicago, and I applied every office in the state. And I did that because I had been working at 26th California in Cook County, and I loved the experience. I knew that really convinced me I was going to be a prosecutor, but I got in kind of late on the application process because I wasn't an academic all-star, so my priorities were number one, get out of law school, number two, pass the bar exam, and number three, look for a job after those two were accomplished. So that's what I did. But I applied to Gary's office, and as Gary said, was hired fairly quickly. And Joy and I had just started dating about that time that I was sending out those letters. So I get up and move to Whiteside County, Sterling, Illinois, and lo and behold, she finds me. I spent about...
Yeah. I think now it's called stalking.
I spent about 7 years out there, and then I applied to the Attorney General's office, and they didn't have an opening in Chicago at the time, so they said, well, if you want to start in Springfield, you can do that, and when an office opens in Chicago, we'll move you. So I said, fine. So I moved down to Springfield. And once again, she found me. But during that 7 years, I think she really firmly believed that I had a passion for this whole prosecution thing. One of the things I always wanted to do when I was in law school was buy a big motorcycle and travel around the country. And when she shows up one day and sees my big motorcycle with the license plate of guilty, I think she was convinced. But I thank her so much for those years she put up with me with that long distance relationship. I ended up moving back to Chicago in 1990, and we got married in 1990, and we were both 33 years old at the time, and we started having kids right away. Stephanie was born in 91, and Kelly was born in 93. And as Steve said, it was a different office back then. It was an office where we had essentially attorneys being trial assistants. We didn't have all the bureaus we have now. We didn't have special prosecutions. We didn't have Medicaid fraud. There was no SDP statute at the time. There was no statewide grand jury statute at the time. So basically it was primarily trial assistance. There was no high-tech crimes unit because back then the perverts were swapping Polaroids. So it was a whole different thing. And we also didn't have an office in Carbondale or Metro East. And we had one or two attorneys in Springfield. So basically the attorneys in Chicago were traveling the entire state. And we were doing, most of the prosecution assistance. And as you know, we had a death penalty statute back then, and a lot of our caseload was death penalty cases from smaller jurisdictions. And that's really the main reason I wanted to come to the AG's office, to do those complex, complicated cases and prosecute the worst of the worst. I thought that was what a career prosecutor's role should be. But those first years were tough. I'll tell you, when Stephanie was born, Joy was still working, and when Kelly was born, she gave up her job at Rockwell International, where she had been for about 15 or 17 years, and stayed home. But I was on the road on a regular basis, and as Rick and Vince alluded to a little bit, we spent a lot of time on the road. I got my first death penalty case, I think, in 1991, and spent a lot of time down in Cumberland County when Stephanie was a baby. And in 93, when Kelly came along, I had 4 death penalty cases on my plate, as well as all the other cases we had. So I was spending a lot of time in hotel rooms while Joy was at home carrying the weights. And I love her for it. She really brought the kids up to be what they are during those early years. She really was just a real superstar. And, my kids wanted the mommy lotto. And quite frankly, that allowed me to do what I was doing at the time. Eventually, I got promoted in 96 to the chief of statewide grand jury, and with every promotion after that, the leash got a little bit shorter, and the travel got a little bit less. But, throughout the years, she has been a superstar that allowed me to do what I've done for 36 years, and it's been fantastic. She certainly carried the heavy weight, although I do think I had some influence on the kids. I would give them, my words of encouragement, my original words of encouragement, like you gotta pay your dues if you want to sing the blues, and things like that.
Bar's the only bar, you're the only one who ever passed,
But as a trial attorney, one of the things that was my passion was really getting involved in putting the puzzle together, doing the crime scene and the pathology and the scientific evidence, the DNA or the fingerprints or the gunshots and things like that. And I think Stephanie picked up a little bit from me, and now she's a forensic scientist with the state police.
All right. Way to go. Yeah.
What takes so long?
Yeah.
Attorneys call back.
And Kelly's always been my world traveler. And, even back when she was growing up, I'd be putting her to bed at night, and we'd say our prayers, and just before we put on the Bob Seger's Greatest Hits CD to serenade her to sleep, we'd talk about, well, Daddy, what are you doing next? Where are you going? And I would tell her about the big cases in faraway places. And, it was like, we're going down, tomorrow I'm going down to Havana, or I'm going down to Cairo, or I'm going to Paris. And I can just imagine going through her young head about the next day I'll be having lunch in the shadow of Eiffel Tower, eating a croissant and drinking a glass of wine.
Right.
When in fact, I was going to Edgar County to have a Blues Plate special and a cup of coffee at the Greasy Spoon.
Yeah.
But obviously she went on to up things quite a bit in terms of her travels. She's been to about 40 countries so far.
Wow.
And her first job out of college was working on a cruise ship, cruising the Western Caribbean one week and the Eastern the next. And then she went on to teach English as a second language in Thailand. So she's been a world traveler, and she's going on to do that in her future career. So it's been great, but for all of it, it's been tough, and I really appreciate them and everything that they did to make me or to allow me to have the career I had. And as Steve mentioned, I picked up several titles during the course of my career, but I always want them to know the most important title I've ever earned is Papa Bear. So I love you guys, and I can't wait to spend more time with you. I'm looking forward to spending 24/7, 365 with Joy. Although if she keeps on pressing me to become her pickleball partner, I may resubmit my resume. So we'll see. But thinking about how this 36-year trek started, Gary is absolutely correct. I applied to Whiteside County, went out there, met with Gary, and growing up in Berwyn, going to college at DePaul, going to law school at John Marshall, I kind of always had the impression that the Mississippi River started about Route 59. Yeah. So when I go up to Whiteside County, I'm driving, and all of a sudden I'm seeing corn. And half an hour later, I'm seeing corn. and half an hour later, I'm seeing more corn. And prior to this time, I think the only corn I saw was either in a cellophane wrapper or in a can. So I finally got to Morrison, Whiteside County, the county seat, and I see the sign, population 4,000. Well, I grew up in Berwyn, I went to Morton West High School, population 4,000. So I'm thinking to myself, what did I get myself into here? And so I pull up to the courthouse and meet Gary, and Gary was the new state's attorney. I've been state's attorney for 6 months or so. I'm fresh out of law school. Gary's 2 or 3 years out of law school. And he had just been appointed to take the place of the prior state's attorney, who became state's attorney at 27 and just became a judge at 31. So I'm thinking, well, maybe this is a trend. This might not be all bad. But went on to work for Gary for 7 years, and it was a absolutely fantastic experience. I mean, I came there wanting to try cases and to spread my wings and do as much as I can to be a good prosecutor, just as I said in my letter, and Gary allowed me to do that. And not only was he a great mentor, a great boss, and a great friend, I later learned, or I later came to learn, after becoming an attorney general, meeting state's attorneys throughout Illinois and traveling the entire state, that Gary was one of the best state's attorneys I had ever come across. He went on to be reelected time and time again, and served about 30-some years as state's attorney. So I was really fortunate to land where I landed. But after 7 years, I did move on, and quite frankly, it's an interesting story about how I determined that I wanted to become an AG. It actually happened my first day in Whiteside County. I'm at the state's attorney's office, and Gary is showing me around to the office personnel and, introducing me to the other assistants and telling me about the job. And then lunchtime comes around, and 3 guys come walking through the door. And Gary says, "Let me introduce you to these 3 guys. We had a triple murder about 6 months ago, and they're here to prosecute that triple murder with 2 defendants." So he introduces me to Joe Claps, Tom Reynolds, and Mark Roder. So we go out to lunch at the American Legion, and Joe and his colleagues started telling me what the Attorney General's office does. I didn't even know the Attorney General's office had a criminal division at the time. So he starts telling me, well, what we do is we do what we're doing here. We travel around the state of Illinois trying capital murders. And I'll tell you what, before I finished my steer burger special with cheese, I had determined that I am going to be an assistant attorney general someday once I get the experience. So that was my goal, and I worked toward that, trying as many cases as I could in Whiteside County. And 7 years later, I sent a resume to Joe Claps and come into the office, have my first interview with Bob Egan of John Wayne Gacy fame. Come back for a second interview, and Joe calls me up and offers me a job. And I immediately took it, even though it was down in Springfield, because that is where I wanted to be. I wanted to do those kind of cases and put those kind of assholes away. So, in Whiteside County, my first partner, or the first person I had as a mentor, was Dan Fish. Whiteside County had 2 courthouses, a Morrison courthouse where the felonies were done, and a Sterling courthouse where traffic, misdemeanor, and juvenile cases were done. And I was assigned to the courthouse in Sterling, and Dan Fish, Judge Fish, was basically my mentor. He was 1 year ahead of me out of law school, out of John Marshall, and he really showed me the ropes. He taught me a lot of things, how to handle traffic cases, how to handle misdemeanor cases, how to handle juvenile cases, where the best bars are with cheap beer. Taught me about hunting and fishing, a lot of things. But Dan became a very close friend of mine and has been a friend of mine for years. And he later went on going to private practice, and then later judging Lee County, and eventually he ended up being a state's attorney in Lee County, then a judge. And he's been a judge for many years now. One of the great pleasures I had as an assistant attorney general was going to Lee County and assisting him on an attempt murder case. And it's a case that was a lot of fun to try with him. We got our asses kicked, but there was a lesson to be learned there. And one of the lessons to learn is, when you have a cop who's a witness, you watch what that cop's doing on his way to court. Because if that cop stops someone on the way to court and writes a speeding ticket, and that person ends up being a juror, you may have issues. So it was a fun case, and it was the only case I had a chance to try with Dad while he was state's attorney, but it was a great time. Throughout the years, I've had some fantastic supervisors. Certainly Joe Claps. I owe Joe Claps, my job, quite frankly. If it wasn't for meeting him and him hiring me, I wouldn't be here. So thank you very much, Joe. I really appreciate that. I got a voicemail today from Frank Nowicki, and Frank Nowicki was Joe's second in command during the end of the hard hit into the Burrs administration. And Frank was a great guy, a fun guy, former Cook County assistant, tons of experience. And I learned valuable lessons from Frank. Frank was one of the guys who let me run with cases. He had confidence in me. And that's why I had the opportunity to try a lot of the cases I did over the years, a lot of the bigger cases in my younger days. But back in, I think it was about 93, Vince and I were out in Stevenson County trying a double murder case, a death penalty case. A guy who killed a farmer, his 18-year-old farmhand, by shooting him multiple times with a single shot rifle, execution style. Clearly something that we thought was a death penalty case. And the day before we were supposed to start opening statements, the defense attorney gives us a call. This is actually probably 11 o'clock at night, and said, listen, my guy is willing to plead guilty for life. And so Vince and I talking over and say, well, life and death decision, it might be something we should run by the supervisor. So we give Frank a call, and Frank says, you know what, guys, I haven't put in a single minute on this case. I haven't sat in the hotel room, I haven't eaten shit food, and I haven't done the work you guys have had. So this is your decision to make. And we were kind of amazed that the supervisor would give us that kind of discretion as young assistants. So Vince and I talked it over for 12 seconds or so, and we said, let's go for it. And that's about how long the jury thought it over, too, before sentencing to death. So that's one of the lessons I learned early in life that I think I tried to carry through supervisors. When you got people putting their heart and souls into cases, it's their case. They own it. You give them as much discretion as you possibly can on those cases. And I really appreciate the heck out of that. Another important lesson I learned from Frank is you guys got an office full of files, you got boxes full of files. If you guys can't find a witness interview on a Friday afternoon, you're idiots. That's a lesson I tried to carry with me. As well as another lesson that Joe taught me was,
don't talk about my lesson.
And this is back in the day.
If I don't stop on these, I'm going to stop. There's like two things I want to tell you. First of all, I am Joe Claps. I'm not a ghost. It's me. And I did hire him, and I'm sure that Gary Spencer's input had a lot to do with it. There are many hiring decisions that you regret. This is not one of them. This was a home run. The other thing is, because most of you are assistant attorney generals, I spent 8 years in the Cook County State Attorney's office. And like Steve, you think that the State Attorney's office is do all and end all. It's not. And what I would tell people when they ask me during the 15 years I was in the AG's office was, well, what do you guys do? My answer was always simple. There are 102 state's attorneys in Illinois. There's one attorney general.
The other crucial lesson I learned from Joe is, and this is back when we didn't have pool cars, we drove our own cars, was in May you put the golf clubs in the trunk and they stay in there till October. Because you never know when a game might break out. Had other great partners throughout the years. Obviously, Rick later, our supervisors later on. Rick became my supervisor.